All right. Hello, hello. We are back. House in Fata Morgana tonight. It is not our normal night, so we are just kind of hanging out tonight in pajamas. Get yourself a nice cup of tea if you don't have one, and if you do have one, let me know what you're drinking. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get in because I am so excited to see where this goes. But oh my god, I'm so scared. Like, where's Pauline and not Pauline? Holy shit, Giselle. It's been a long day. But where's Giselle? What's going on? We have a broken hand. Everything hurts. But let's just go. Okay. Pauline had to keep Maria from talking about her job to Nellie, but Maria's going straight ahead to embarrass us with girl talk at a sleepover. We had to say who we liked, and after giving different answers to embarrassing results, which I will say was possibly one of my favorite parts of this entire game that we've done so far, um, like no shade to any of like the super dramatic emotional scenes, but that was so much fun. um Pauline asked what Maria's been up to since leaving the orphanage they grew up in. Maria and Pauline got completely different treatment from the orphanage director. When Maria left, she worked at the same brothel that took in Morgana and got raided by bandits. Nellie spilled the beans about the tower when Morgana confirmed she met Morgana, but Pauline went into denial again until Maria called her out on her confirmation bias. Maria wants to rescue Morgana, and Pauline is having a crisis of faith. Maria is taking us at our word for now, and we hope that we can get the key by helping her on her quest to eat the rich, though she denies having a connection to the Lord beyond that. She's also confused by how pious Pauline is now compared to childhood. We walked Maria back to her current brothel after Giselle took a nap, and told her Morgana appreciated being there. Then she handed us a knife for protection and promised us to give us something else later. On the walk back, we came across Pauline confronting Yukimasa about the tower. She told him all about the people who snitched to her, and Yukimasa claimed that the tower is just full of money, but she begged him to let her see inside. After Pauline left, Yukimasa murdered us. So we tried again without walking Maria back. We talked to Giselle about our new social experience, and she suggested she wouldn't mind us living our days here without her. She also reassured us that she would love us regardless of when she found out about our sex. Then we watched the snowfall and woke up in the cellar, bound by ropes without her voice. Yeah, this could have been kinky in a good way, and unfortunately, it was not. Yukimasa revealed he was reenacting the Last Supper at dinner when he interrogated us in order to ascertain how conspicuous our disappearance would be. He offered to let us take Mel's place, but we refused to sell him out, so he kept torturing us until we admitted what our mission is. He broke our fingers and didn't believe us when we told him about the future, thinking we're an evil spirit, but Pauline barged in before he could chop off our arm. It was very close, though. I was so nervous. Mel had Nellie pick the lock for Pauline so he could finally stand up to Yukimasa. Yukimasa reasoned that the tower is the Lord's property, and it's not lying to say the source of his wealth is held there, but Pauline ain't buying that crap. Pauline felt guilty about selling blood, but admitted she only turned to the church because she couldn't make her real dreams come true. All she really wanted was Yukimasa to whisk her away and live happily ever after. He's going to own up to his crimes and wait for the next life with her that we foretold. He'll also join in on getting the last key from the Lord, but his insistence on violence as the first option is going to sour Morgana's opinion of him, so we need him to share his story to get her sympathy. Mel is impressed that we withstood Yukimasa's torture and helped us get to medical attention, and we still have no clue where Giselle is. So, overall, we're not in a great place. But we're gonna see what sort of war crimes this Yukimasa was doing, so I don't know, maybe we'll look good in comparison. Let's find out. Alright. It's almost sunset. Looks like the snow didn't stick. You couldn't actually see the snow last night, could you, Giselle? Exactly. At least the most ruthless of the three is no longer trying to kill us. So that's something. Although I don't know, Jacopo is ruthless in his own way. At least the one with the sword isn't trying to kill us now. I guess maybe, though he didn't need his sword on us. It kind of seemed like he was going to rip our arm off. So I don't know. We numbers wise, this looks much better. It's two on our side and one not on our side. So maybe that's the way to. I don't know. Was that when the light started fading from the sphere of darkness encasing you? Or had it been going on even longer than that? Why didn't you say anything? Not a word. I don't believe you're gone for good. You're still out there somewhere. We at least have to believe that, right? Like, I think if we lose Giselle now, it will actually break us. So that's a good way to put it. Jacopo is a heartless capitalist. Yukimasa is the bloodthirsty murderer. Neither one is good, but yeah, I know it. And I will come for you. I swear it. Just a moment. Here I am, as promised. I heard you talking, so I thought there was someone with you. But you're alone? It's only me, yes. I see. As I told you earlier, my perspective on events will do nothing to change Morgana's mind. I would still like to hear what you have to say. Hmm, all right. Not being from this land, I don't believe in the local god, nor do I think priests and preachers any better than con artists. Where did that come from? What I'm trying to say is if I give a confessional, it won't be to another human. Huh? You're an angel. Oh, like, can we not start with this already? I don't like this topic. Yeah, watch Yukimasa make himself look even worse than his own story. Look, he's not starting off great in my book, so I don't know, man. It probably won't go good, so I have my own cup of tea. I apologize. I'm having to blow on it right now because it's still very hot. Come again? The angel from the stained glass window. That's you, isn't it? Well, that's a new one. Wait. How on earth did you come to that conclusion? I was thinking about everything you said earlier in the cellar. The fact that you knew about Morgana, the fact that you could see into my heart, and in particular, all your talk about saving people's souls. Salvation is not man's job, which means you must be something else. I'm. I will tell you everything. Every foolish mistake, every terrible crime. And in exchange, I would like you to tell me what I am to do next, to lead me down the path I am to take. I. I terrify myself. With every passing day, my ability to tell what direction I'm supposed to be heading in dulls. So after I tell my story, I want you to do that for me. Please, will you show me the way? This is not how I thought this was going to go, if I'm being completely honest. I thought this was, um, yeah, I'm just a little shocked. There we go. And in exchange, I wish to see your biblically accurate form. Look, he can do that with Pauline, though I assume, I mean, if she's keeping her vows, I'm gonna guess maybe he hasn't. So, I. Yeah, that's fair. It does match up with how he sees Pauline. So, I can no more decide the path you take than you. But you saw into my heart. Well, kind of, I guess. Maybe. I mean, honestly, let's just go with it. What does it hurt? Giselle, if you were here, you would encourage me to agree to his request, wouldn't you? Okay. I can't guarantee that anything I have to say will be of use, but I will do the best I can to lead you in the right direction. Yeah, we did see Into the Heart of Future Him. So, like it's kind of the same. Not exactly, but kind of. Thank you. Now, before I begin, there's one thing I need to clarify. Hmm? I am not in love with Pauline. Well, that makes me a little bit sad, but okay. She does play an important role in my life, though. That much is true. She's your tether. Exactly. I suppose you could say, admire her. Sir, I am a grade A commitment phobe. Like if there was a commitment phobic Olympics, I would be taking a goddamn gold medal. Um, and even I'm calling you out on your bullshit. So, exactly. Sure, Jan. She is everything I am not, everything I cannot be. Is that something I should tell her, you think? Why are you asking us that? That I don't love her. That I'm incapable of feeling love. I probably wouldn't start with that, no. Should I tell her that, knowing she genuinely loves me? My instinct tells me I shouldn't. I know very well I'm lying to her. But there are circumstances in which a lie is preferable to the truth, are there not? With that said, I'm ready to begin. This has been the weirdest conversation I think we've had with anyone. We have jumped everywhere. So, you know what? This is going to be a shit show and I'm all in. You have my full attention. All right, let's see what sort of wild shit we're about to get into here. As you know, I'm not from this land. The issue is, I don't know any more about where I came from than you. I remember the Silk Road, stretching out before me as far as the eye can see. Clouds of dust wisping across the bare dirt trail. That endless expanse of red earth remains branded into the very fabric of my mind. But beyond that, most of my memories are gone. I can only clearly remember the last 5 years of my life, 5 years or so of my life. In my oldest real memory, I was a slave. I didn't work on some nobleman's estate, but instead I did physical labor, construction work. I built roads and buildings, tore down hills and mountains. That's where it was decided someone built like I am would be the most use, I suppose. And while I doubt I need to tell you this, living conditions were miserable. Other slaves withered away and died on a daily basis. Working a noble's estate would have been easier, without a doubt, if only for the fact that I would have a specific master. I don't remember anything about my life before becoming a slave. All I have are those few images, from which I can guess I was part of a caravan, or perhaps a messenger. I vaguely remember being waylaid. We were vastly outnumbered, massacred with little resistance. Or at least, I assume that's what happened. When I next woke up, I had been stripped bare and was surrounded by men I didn't recognize. The words they spoke were gibberish to my ears, but I could tell from their tone of voice and expressions that the things they were saying were not friendly. They seemed to be mocking me, laughing at me. As you might expect, I attempted to protest, but evidently I had been beaten quite badly while I was unconscious. My joints were stiff and swollen, and on top of my dehydration, so I could barely move, let alone put up a fight. As strong as I might have been at full health, I was in no condition to do anything then. You have no idea what that's like. I think we do, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, this is the start of the Bestia story again. How it feels to be abused and humiliated, desperate for food and water. I think Mel's story technically also started in the same place. It's just that it very quickly veered off. So I wonder if that's maybe something about their past lives. I don't know. Oh, I see. So, as I was saying, I was a slave for one grueling, torturous year. No one treated me like a human being. There was no one from the same part of the world as me, and there was no one to come to my aid. Over time, I came to learn their language, though I can only speak it. I don't know how to read or write. But to be honest, I think I was happier not understanding what people were saying about me. They had many words to describe me, none of them flattering. Some of them would even call me beast. And the longer I was treated as something less than human, the more I began to question whether I really was one. A darkness grew inside of me with each repeated insult. I wanted to make them pay for the daily abuse. And who wouldn't? The desire to exact vengeance when you've been mistreated is only natural. It's perfectly reasonable. But they were right about what I was deep down, a beast. And my revenge went far beyond what could be considered reasonable. 4 years ago, I was sitting in a carriage as it rattled along a dirt road. This was not the kind of carriage you rode around town in, but a filthy slave transport. Is this going to be where Morgana met him the first time? Because didn't he slaughter like the entire caravan except for her? There was something like that, if I remember correctly. It was packed front to back with slaves, or soon to be slaves, I suppose I should say. There were men, young women, and even children. Everyone wore a look of hopelessness on their faces, and no one had the strength left to resist. They looked like me a year earlier, deprived of food and water and beaten into submission. The slave traders' guards were armed, of course, swords hanging from their hips, ready to cut down anyone who showed any sign of resistance. So they sat there, lamenting their fate. Sitting beside me was a young girl, crying in silence. Glancing over at her, I caught a glimpse of her face. Large chunks of skin seemed to have fallen off of it, so it is Morgana. It was, suffice it to say, an unusual sight. But beyond that, I didn't think much of it. I didn't find it disturbing or unpleasant, perhaps because I had a similarly unusual appearance. What caught my attention, though, was the way she was crying. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it seemed different somehow from everyone else crying in the carriage. It was almost like her tears were not for herself. Why are you crying? At my question, the girl turned her head up to look at me. Surprise crossed her face for a few brief seconds, but that was her only reaction to my appearance. I assume her thought process was roughly the same as mine, so she felt no need to fear me. After a moment's hesitation, she said, I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to the people very dear to me. Her response perplexed me to no end. Why was she concerned about showing gratitude? Why was she not despairing of her own circumstances? Why was that the emotion that gripped her in that moment? Not hatred for the slave trader or sorrow for herself. To this day, I still don't understand. But that wasn't the only thing I found curious. Her voice, despite being soft, cut through the crying and wailing of the other slaves. I pictured it like a single patch of clear water in the middle of a swamp, untainted by its surroundings, gently undulating. That is a weird word to put right in the middle of that sentence. I assume no one read that one out loud. Um, One sentence was all she said, but there was something unbelievably calming about the sound of it. For a moment, I was filled with a sense of tranquility, and though you may not believe it, I wanted to get her out of that filthy carriage, to undo the shackles threatening to taint her. And so I took action, driven by that desire. This is no lie, I promise. No, no, don't kill me. Please, you can have all my money. You can go free if that's what you want. I'll apologize. Anything. What? Why are you laughing? Please spare me. I have a wife and children. Please. I'm begging you. And why should I care? Holding a sword in my hand felt amazingly right. Whatever work I once did must have required me to use a blade. Even with the shackles still around my wrists, I had little trouble slaughtering the slave traders and their guards. They let their guard down because we were restrained. The thought of anyone resisting never once crossed their minds. Dead bodies sprawled out around me. Corpses I had made. Lives I'd snuffed out. Look at this. See? No one can defeat me. They stood no chance against my strength. More. I need more. I need more. I don't have the words to describe the high it gave. It gave me killing those men. The power I felt over them. I was driven mad by the stench of blood filling the air. No, it just drew out what was always there. If I weren't already deranged, the corpses would have had nothing to stimulate in the first place. After taking the keys off one of the slave traders, I returned to the carriage, doing my best to act calm and suppress the bubbling exhilaration. Hey, you, unlock my shackles for me. I would do it myself if I could. You. Say something, would you? But she said nothing, simply removing my shackles as commanded. If she had, if she had said even one word, let me hear that curiously calming voice of hers, then in all likelihood, I probably would have stopped there. But she remained perfectly silent. Everyone was in shock at what they had just witnessed, her included. In time, though, the slaves started cheering. The same people who had been wailing minutes earlier were now shouting praises. Our savior! You are our savior! We're free to go home! We can have our lives back! Undo our shackles, please! I'm a beast. What? I'm not a savior. I'm not a man. I'm a beast. Isn't that right? I'm a beast, aren't I? What are you? More. I need more. I thirst for more. What? Why are you pointing your... I need more. Oh, exactly. I got a taste of blood and it was good. Ah. And that was the start of, well, a habit that we should probably break. In that moment, the last of my reason dissolved. I went into a frenzy, slaughtering the helpless slaves I had never intended to kill. I was euphoric. I couldn't get enough. I reveled in it. Never before had I felt such utter ecstasy. Their cries for mercy as I ripped through them were delicious. The look of fear in their eyes, the way their faces twisted, the splatters of blood around their mouths, open in screams, the despair that filled them. I didn't care anymore that they were just as much victims as me, that they had suffered the same abuse and humiliation. All of that was buried beneath the waves of bliss that ravished me. Everyone who asked to be spared, I skewered. I worked my way around the inside of the carriage, killing dozens upon dozens of slaves. Heads went rolling off shoulders, hot geysers of blood spewing from open necks. I was practically wading through blood by that point. Some bodies I completely dismembered. Others I disemboweled, leaving their entrails to hang out of their open guts. All of them had looks of agony frozen into their faces as death took them. I don't know if I was unconsciously avoiding her or if it was just a coincidence, but the girl was the only one left alive. She, of course, hadn't been spared the mess, so she sat there, drenched in sticky red gore. Her lips appeared to be trembling, though I couldn't tell for sure with so much of her skin missing. The fire inside me still burned white hot. She was the reason I had done any of this in the first place. I had stood up because I wanted to set her free. But my original intentions were long since gone from my mind. Raw pleasure overwhelmed any sense of reason. I approached the girl, pointing the sword at her neck. I expected her to scream, to beg for her life like the others. But she did nothing, simply stared up at me. Why didn't you run? At my question, the girl finally spoke. Why did you kill them? The sound of her voice quelled the furor in me. You know, this is really interesting. Like, thinking about Bestia's story, it's almost the same thing. Like, Morgana is almost the exact same as the white-haired girl was in it, or Abby was in it. So this one seems to be a lot more like one-to-one retelling almost with the next life, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Knowing Yukimasa is mentally a child here does recontextualize a lot of his behavior. I mean, also kind of knowing that this is his first taste of freedom in a year. Like, yeah, it goes horribly wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't murder people. But the fact that he kind of goes a little wild with it, I don't think is that wild, I guess. Um, the sound of her voice quelled the furor within me. It baffled me. I had no control over it. Yes, yet this strange girl could pacify me with a single utterance. The words she used didn't matter. It was her voice. She could have called me a monster, and it would have had the same effect. Because I felt like it. I couldn't explain my reason for murdering the slaves. I didn't have the words to express the things that drove me. All I could tell her was that I did it because I felt like it. And why haven't you killed me yet? I couldn't find a sure answer for that question in my somewhat rattled mind either. In retrospect, I realize now that her voice was my first tether. But at the same time, I had no idea why I didn't take her life in my frenzy. I had killed other children, other women, young, old, sad, miserable. It didn't matter. Nothing had so much as prickled my conscience. I don't know, I said, and then I stepped off the carriage and walked away. Left with questions I couldn't answer. Was I really a beast? Was unleashing my innate savagery and reveling in the massacre of helpless people really all I wanted? I didn't know. Yeah, because kids have little in the way of self-control, it's no wonder he's addicted to stimulation and has no concept of what isn't acceptable. Yeah, I mean, dude had one spark of like, yeah, I liked that, and immediately killed a whole bunch more people, so... Also, you know, the rules have kind of changed in the last year for him, right? He's undergone these horrible things. It kind of recontextualizes the world, and he didn't if he doesn't remember before that, then he's got nothing to kind of compare it to before. So he gets it wrong, as we can tell, because he's calling himself a beast. But after escaping from the slave traders, I became something of a bandit. I had no hope of anyone taking me in. Not only was I a murderer, I was a foreigner. I know, those are clearly two things that right on the same level. Nor did I have any chance of finding decent work. So I lived by the sword, killing and plundering. The money I honestly didn't give a damn about. I had no desire to be wealthy. It was simply a matter of survival. That and quenching my thirst. I went on for about 3 years like that. Exactly. We're still calling him a dick because he still is one, but it's less judgmental now. Yeah, I mean, look, he can have his reasons for doing it. That doesn't make what he did okay. And he still broke like all the fingers on our hand and almost ripped our arm off. So, I haven't quite forgiven him for that one. He's gonna have to pull out some really good arguments to make me forgive that one. So, until finally encountering something I couldn't defeat with my sword. No amount of muscle was enough to protect myself from disease. One day I woke up with the chills, my vision blurry, barely able to move my own limbs. I set off for a nearby village, hoping to see a doctor, but my body didn't last that long. I collapsed on the side of the road, drained of my last strength. It was a moderately busy road at that, so I assume I had made it close to the city. Dozens of people passed by, silently pretending not to see anything. I didn't look like someone a respectable person would want to involve themselves with in normal circumstances, so it was no surprise they weren't interested in this sick, filthy foreign man. Hell, I couldn't remember the last time I had bathed. It was hard to look at me, let alone get anywhere near me. This is where I'm going to die, I thought. Exactly. I'm literally neurodivergent and a minor. So therefore, it seemed like a suitable end to a mad, murderous monster's life, withering away on the side of the road beneath sneering passerby. The fact that I was still alive at all after 3 years of leeching off other people's lives was itself wrong. I didn't lament my impending demise. I accepted that was such the way of the world. But then I glanced up to see a woman in a nun's habit looking down on me. Are are you all right? Are you sick? I'm going to check your temperature, okay? Wow, you're burning up. You shouldn't be out here in this condition. I will be completely honest. I just had a moment when she said, "I'll take your temperature," and I was like, "Have they made thermometers at this in this era?" Only to remember that, like, oh yeah, you can do that with like your hand. Um, it's fine. Modern technology hasn't ruined me. Uh, do you not have anywhere to go? Don't worry, I've got you covered. There's a church not too far from here. Hang in there just a little longer and you'll be fine. And what is your God going to do for me? Uh, he helps people in need? It's not very big, but we've always got room for people who need it. You can rest up in one of the open beds, and I should be able to get you a little something to eat. I promise it'll be better than staying out here at any rate. Can you stand? Not a problem. We can do this together. Put your arm around my shoulders. The church isn't that far. We can do it. You are going to carry me? Yep. It'll be fine. We'll make it one way or another. Almost. We're almost there. Just a little longer. I'm heavy, aren't I?
Yeah, very, very heavy. But that's not a problem. I can do anything if I put my mind to it.
Just throw me into a ditch.
Now, God doesn't like his children talking like that. Almost there. We're almost there. So, how are you feeling? Better, I hope. I've left some applesauce on the bedstand if you're feeling up to eating anything. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to.
Why did you help me?
Because that's what people do. They help each other.
Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit was born in 1686, but devices to measure temperature date back to the 3rd century BC. Like, to measure temperature in people, or like to measure temperature total? Because like I was literally imagining one of those like automatic thermometers you can get and like put in your mouth, and I was pretty sure that those weren't around yet because that would require a battery. But I assume they had to have something at least somewhat like that in the past. Although I don't know if it really matters, like to what extent the fever actually, like knowing the exact temperature matters. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, as is very clear by most of these streams. So that's not what most people do.
Uh, I like to think it is.
You church people are exceptions.
I'm not sure that I agree with that.
This woman is only showing me compassion because she doesn't know what I am. She wouldn't be so friendly if she knew I was a madman and a murderer.
If there's anything else you want, let me know. I can't make you any fancy dinners, but if it's anything I can get, I will.
Could you tell me your name?
I'm. I'm Marie.
Marie. After, who was it? The Virgin?
You're not familiar with the Virgin Mary?
Just look at me. I'm clearly not from these parts.
Yeah, I can see that. So that would make you a traveler, huh? You speak the language really well, though. I take it you've been here a while then.
Yes, I have.
How exciting! So, when you're feeling better, maybe you could tell me about the country you came from. I've never been far from home, so I'm curious what it's like elsewhere.
There's nothing I could tell you.
It can be anything. Tell me about yourself if you want.
I'm even less inclined to do that.
Get better soon, Kay? I'm looking forward to hearing all about it.
I'm not sure there's anyone out there more deserving of the Virgin Mary's name.
What was that?
Your name. It suits you.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm incredibly flattered to hear you say that, but I hardly live up to the name. What's your name, by the way?
I. I have no name.
You don't?
If you want something to call me by, you can choose a name for me. Anything you want.
Um,
I am nameless. You give me a name. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone. Like, what if she gives you a name and you just hate it?
I think you should be the one to choose your name. I'd be more than happy to help, though. But you should go with the name you think is best.
Yeah, your new name is Ukulele. Or even better, your new name is Prince Ugly Spots. Or Ugly Flex, Ugly Specs, the Mark II. Um, I see.
Well, I should get going. I'll be around, so if you need anything, just holler. Bye then.
How am I supposed to choose a name for myself? Ugly Speckles, there we go. When I don't know anything about me. I mean, maybe this is because I've never had to name myself, but just pick a name you like, my dude. And you don't have to know yourself to pick your name. I would argue that most parents don't know anything about the child that they're picking a name for, or writers trying to name their characters. I recovered quickly with a proper bed and a roof over my head. Out on the road, I had been certain I stood no chance, but I was back on my feet after only 3 days at the church. My body was more resilient than even I knew, and now that I was back in health, I had no intention of sticking around. Thank you for everything. I would be dead if it weren't for you.
No thanks necessary. I'm just glad to see you're feeling better. There's no need to be in such a rush to leave, you know. Stay a bit longer. Make sure everything's all right.
There we go. Who was the Virgin Mary's husband?
Joseph.
That name sounds bad. I won't pick it.
Ah,
I'm not going to stay any longer than necessary.
if you're sure.
Take this as payment for the food and lodgings.
I I can't accept that. No. We don't charge for charity.
Charity is not free. You paid for it. Let me pay you back.
I can't.
Please take the money.
If you insist, I can accept it as a tithe.
A tithe?
Think of it like a donation to the church. Like you said, the work we do isn't free.
All right then. A tithe it is.
Thank you. And may God bless you for your generosity.
So long.
Hey, if you're ever in the area, maybe you could stop by sometime? I never did get the chance to have that talk with you, and I was really looking forward to it too.
I'll just cause you more trouble.
What? No, you wouldn't. What makes you think that? Are you afraid you'll scare people off because you look different? I really don't think you need to be worried about that.
It's not just my appearance. I'm. Do you mean it? That it won't be any trouble having me around?
I absolutely mean it.
Okay. I'll consider it.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah. Believe me, I knew I had no place involving myself with her. A killer making himself comfortable in the house of God? I don't even believe in their deity, and I still knew that was nothing if not extremely disrespectful. The money I had donated to her church wasn't even clean. It was stolen. I didn't feel the slightest bit guilty about it, though. I was more than conscious of what I was doing, but none of that mattered to me. She had smiled when she took it. That was enough. Seeing the nun smile put my heart at ease, much like the sound of the slave girl's voice had several years before. It restrained me, suppressed my urges. That smiling face was my new tether. I had always believed that I was at my happiest while torturing people, that my thirst for murder was ingrained in my soul. But as exhilarating as taking others' lives was, there was a part of me that yearned for peace. I had gotten a taste of that with her, and I wanted more. Even knowing I had no place in that world, the peace was something I would never attain. Still, I longed for it. It started with brief visits every few months. In time, though, their frequency began to increase. Soon it was once a month, then twice, then once a week. The length of my visits gradually grew as well. Every time I showed up, the nun greeted me with a smile, quenching my thirst without the need for blood. The more we met, the more I endeavored to be a normal man around her, or to play the part of one. I thought that if I acted like there was nothing wrong with me, then I wouldn't be out of place at her side. I wanted to feel like I belonged in that peaceful world where she lived.
It's the giant man! Marie, the giant man's here!
Giant?
Hello there. I was beginning to think you weren't coming this week.
I was having trouble deciding on what to bring you.
You're always welcome here, you know. You don't have to bribe yourself in. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
I wouldn't feel right if I didn't bring something. I bought a variety of fruits for you today, so you can share them with the children.
They'll be delighted. Thank you so much.
It's nothing, really.
So, have you decided on a name for yourself yet?
Not yet, no.
Nothing at all. It makes talking to you a little awkward not having anything to call you.
In that case, well, the giant man is as good as anything.
Did he get under your skin?
A little. I'm not that big, am I?
We're all giants to little kids. I do wish they'd be a little less blunt about it sometimes, though.
Indeed. I suppose it's better than them being afraid of me. The children here have strong nerves.
They're ordinary kids. You're just not a scary person.
They only assume I'm harmless because I'm with you.
What? You make it sound like you actually are dangerous or something.
Oh, girl, you have no idea. Because I am.
Don't get worked up about it. The only thing different about us is our race. Everything else is exactly the same.
I don't know about that. I'm not so sure.
You must have had some pretty awful experiences because of your appearance then, to make you so concerned about it. I wish I could say I understood your pain,
That's not necessary.
but if I could, then maybe I'd feel a little closer to you. If only I could be even half the same race as you.
No, no. You have nothing to gain from being more like me.
You don't think so? I think there's a lot that would be nice about it. I would probably have really pretty black hair at least.
Oh, and when she gets her in her next life. Oh,
If I'm ever reborn, I'd like to be more like you.
why are you so obsessed with being like me? Yeah, she got her wish.
I, I, um, I, I just am.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was about the time I started noticing the feelings she had for me. At first, I thought I was simply being egotistical. There was no way a woman like her would be interested in a man like me. But I couldn't think of any other explanation for the way she looked at me. Back then, I believed I loved her too, and that if we could be together, as man and woman, that I would finally be able to attain the peace I so sought. That I could wash my hands of the killer within me, defeat the urges once and for all. That I could step out of the darkness I had lived in for so long. That I would be able to see the light. That I would be able to experience love like any other ordinary man. So, in the name of that hope, I took action. That foolish, naive hope.
w- what are we doing out here so late at night?
Sorry for asking you to meet me on such short notice. I hope it wasn't too much trouble sneaking out.
It certainly wasn't easy. So, you had something to tell me?
What I'm about to tell you, every last word is sincere. And then once you've heard me out, I want you to turn me down.
What?
Over these past few months, I've come to at least somewhat understand the responsibilities and restrictions placed on you as a nun. But even ignoring the obligations you have, I know good and well I'm not a suitable match for you. Which is why, as I said, I would like you to turn me down.
I still I still want to hear it.
I love you. I fell for you the moment I first saw you.
I
I know I don't deserve to be anywhere near you, but every time we met, my desire to be with you grew stronger and stronger until it was out of my control. Turn me down, Marie, please, and I will stop trying to get close to you.
I'm not Marie.
You're not. What?
My real name is Pauline.
Pauline?
Marie is my baptismal name. It's not the name I was given at birth. I I love you too. I fell for you the moment I first laid eyes on you. All sick and collapsed on the side of the road.
Oh man, it sucks when you suspect a pretty girl might have a crush on you but don't know if the signs are true. Look, flirting is hard. It's hard for everyone, I think, but trying to send signs, I we need to bring back like some sort of universal flirting language is all I have to say.
I know it's forbidden, but I want to be with you too. Any free time I have, I want to spend it with you.
I'm I'm glad to hear you say that.
Thank you for being honest with me.
No, thank you for not turning me down.
Wow, talk about an anxious day. When you asked me to meet you out here tonight, I wondered if that might be what it was about. It felt like my heart was going to explode all day.
Heart explode.
Guys get nervous about telling girls how they feel too, don't they?
Y- yeah, we do.
Until now, I had no idea falling in love was so hard on the nerves. Just thinking about you makes my mind turn to mush. It's hard to work like that, you know?
Is it really that stressful?
Is it like that for you too?
Y- yeah, thinking about you makes it impossible to concentrate. Tell me something. I mean, Pauline,
Hmm? What is it?
how exactly is it hard on your nerves?
What? How exactly? It's like, I'm in the clouds and I want to scream and I want to jump into a lake all at the same time.
That doesn't help me much. Could you be a little more specific?
Really? Are you trying to embarrass me? It's like my whole body gets really hot.
You mean you get aroused?
Aroused? No. It. To put it bluntly, yes.
I see.
You're a real jerk, you know? You shouldn't go around trying to humiliate ladies.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you.
Well, that was insightful. So I'm not in love with her or romantically attracted to her. I see where he got to that conclusion, but my dude, I think you might want to have a sample set of more than one. Or even physically attracted to her. All I want from her is her smile. Being around her doesn't arouse me. In fact, it does exactly the opposite. My fire burns brightest when I'm not with her. It all makes sense now. I just want someone to keep me placated. I'm disturbed through and through. A murderer and a beast.
See, that's why I didn't want to say anything. I knew you would laugh at me.
I'm sorry. I truly am. I did ultimately get what I wanted out of the arrangement. She became my tether, became an invaluable part of my life, even if I had no real love for her. When I was with her, I was at peace. That said, her presence didn't completely rid me of my urges. I was still occasionally struck with bouts of insatiable thirst, overwhelming desire to mutilate anyone who came into my line of sight. And sometimes Pauline became the object of that desire. It goes without saying that I never did draw my sword on her, but I had no way of knowing when I might lose control. And if I ever did kill her, then there would be nothing left to keep me from regressing completely into a beast, which makes sense why he freaked out when we told him that in his next life he was going to murder her. Exactly. He doesn't want a girlfriend, he wants a mom. To be fair, I think I assume that there's a part of him that wants just someone who treats him like a normal fucking person. Um, so I don't know if it's even a mom. It's just, someone who's there. Maybe a friend. Friend might be good.
Pauline and I arranged regular nighttime meetings, though never once did I tell her how I truly felt. And I had no intention to either. When I was with her, I was in the role of her lover. She never questioned my love for her, and expressing hers for me caused her to smile even more than normal. The happier she was, the more beneficial it was to me. Spending time with her in this capacity, I was able to gain a deeper understanding of what kind of person Pauline was. She was a deeply generous and compassionate woman. While I now understand her near compulsive deeds of charity were a result of the stress and uncertainty she felt about herself, at the time I believed she was doing it because she genuinely wanted to. I believed she wanted to save absolutely everyone, to be the saintess she had come to be known as. She gave assistance to anyone who sought it from her, without question, and as a result, the church's coffers quickly dried up. Her God did not supply her with an endless store of bread and wine either. In the end, any endeavor, no matter the intentions, requires money. In time, her generosity turned excessive, self destructive. She would even skip meals so that others could eat.
Yeah, exactly. He just friend zones Pauline.
In retrospect, that was probably my fault too. As I pushed towards wanting to be a regular girl, she pushed back against that desire by being even more charitable. Soon, her actions started making the other nuns' lives difficult, giving her a less than favorable reputation within the church. Still, she would tell me when we met up how she wished she could help even more people, if doing so would give her peace, and if I could be a part of that peace, then I wanted to grant her wish. But what could a killer like me do to help? Petty thievery wouldn't make me nearly enough money to keep a church and an orphanage running, and a raid large enough in scale to do so would inevitably be traced back to the source, which would ruin the church forever. How was a murderer to acquire such a large sum of money? I was ready to jump at any opportunity that presented itself when I received a summons from the Lord.
Yep, that's him.
I take it you're the Oriental man who's been seen buzzing around a local church of late?
Do you have another one? Like, I would assume this is not a common thing that happens. There we go, become a hitman.
When I first saw the Lord, I was surprised at just how young he looked. There couldn't have been more than a couple years' difference between us. I had envisioned him as an elderly, or at the very least, a middle aged man. That would be me, yes.
What of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damned respect.
Apologies. I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language.
Very well then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here,
You're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that.
I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Well, Yukimasa, you did kind of walk like right into that one.
Since then, one slave of Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it that would be you.
That's right.
You made one hell of a mess out there.
Am I here to be punished?
That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself.
Pfft, I don't need any more damned slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard.
Correct.
Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog?
I absolutely agree.
I thought that would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you've got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what exactly? Something that's going to make me a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of, along with the church you're so fond of, and the nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite the name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you simply can't create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial troubles for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me out with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps. You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversations that overstay their welcome. Fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say that the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to patrons of the church. In exchange for tithes, of course. Exactly. Her blood has the power to cure any disease for about 5 days before it comes back. Oops. Glad that didn't break. Selling it then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoners, beloved saintess, handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine, they'll lap it up. And in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city's economy as well. A single witch's freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. Okay. I understand where we're going with Yukimasa. I have no idea what we're doing with Jacopo to make me not absolutely fucking hate him. So, he seems to have absolutely zero redeeming qualities. We'll find out. So what will it be? Will you help, or will I have to... I'll help. Exactly, the ones who walk away from Omelas. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it would seem. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean, you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. I agreed to the Lord's terms. A couple days later, I made my way out to the location the Lord had given me, a small cottage by a lake where the witch was said to live.
I had been instructed to take her alive, but not that I wasn't allowed to harm her, so my plan was to force my way in and immobilize her as soon as she opened the door. The Lord was right. I didn't have anything resembling a conscience. I was too far gone to be bothered by the prospect of disabling a witch. Not even the fact that I had found a degree of solace in my relationship with Pauline would change that. However, who's there? When I heard the witch's voice through the door, I froze. It was the girl from 4 years earlier. I didn't even have to see her. I knew right away. I wouldn't mistake that voice, that stream of pure, clear water cutting through the grime, for anything. I would never forget the first thing that had ever managed to suppress my desires. My first tether. There we go. His name is Jiminy Cricket, but he's running around with a duck, a dog, and a kid. He's busy right now. It's fine. When the Lord told me about the witch, I never once expected it to be her. Who is it? Are you the witch with the miracle blood? My hand rested on the hilt of my sword. I had, at first, meant to break down the door if she wouldn't open it for me. Please leave. However, when I heard that voice, my hand fell limp. Please stay away from my home. I'm in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little? I have nothing to spare for a man like you. My blood is only for the sick and needy. So please, go away. Stay away from me. I'm begging you. Get away from this place. You're a murderer. I want nothing to do with you. So please, just go away. As you say. As she had commanded, I took leave of her cottage, in somewhat of a haze. It should have come as no surprise, but in the 4 years since our last encounter, she had no kind words left to spare me. Yet even in her derision, I still felt myself being calmed by the sound of her voice. I debated with myself. Should I do as the Lord requested and capture her? Or should I let her go free, as I had done 4 years earlier? You already know what I decided to do, though, don't you? That's right. I went with the first option. After all, I had no need for two tethers. Yeah. You still mad about the whole massacre thing? I said I was sorry. Or, I thought I said it, or thought it at some point. Maybe. While breaking down her door was still an option, the witch was wary of me. If she were to somehow manage to escape, there was no saying how the Lord might react. So I stood watch, waiting for her to step outside. The problem was, she never opened her door. It wasn't just me, it seemed she was wary of everyone. There was one exception, though, the boy. She left the cottage for him. They went on walks together around the lake. It's, it's been a while since we last went on one of our walks, huh? I, I haven't been sleeping much, taking care of Nellie. Is her condition worsening again? Yeah. Rest assured, I will give her my blessing as many times as she needs. Uh, thanks. I really, really appreciate it. The weather's kind of not that great today, huh? Looks like we might get rain. It's probably not smart to stay outside much longer. Yesterday. I should get going. See you. Watching the two of them, it occurred to me that I could make good use of the boy. You have two options. Either you say no and protect the witch. Get away. Or you help me capture her. Get away from her right now. And if you choose the witch, I kill the girl. Get away. Make your decision. Get away from her. You have until the count of 10. If you don't choose, I kill the girl. 10, 9, 8, 7. 6,
5. Okay, I'll do it. I'll help you. So get your sword out of her face. Don't kill her. I thought you'd hold out until the last second. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's get going. Get moving. You pitiful little boy. Ooh. Get back! No! Stay away from me! No! Help! Help! Don't! Don't kill me! Take it. What? That's your share. Should last you long enough. Oh, why? Why? Why did you take my arm? What do you mean by share? Why? Why? My arm. My arm. My arm. No, put me down, please. Help! Someone please help. I always get nervous that I do this and like someone can hear me through the door. I'm not going to lie. I always get like I'm always sitting there like, okay, can we not do this for long periods of time? I get that it's dramatic, but I really don't need like a wellness check. The witch with the miracle blood had regressed into an ordinary girl, and she cried in pain like a small child. I wasn't going to get very far with her wailing, so I gagged her, tied her up, and threw her into a burlap sack. Okay, come on. How many things do we need of her whimpering? Nothing personal. I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church. She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch with miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. So don't take it personally. I tossed the sack into the cart I had waiting outside, then made my way to the mansion as per the Lord's instructions. The two of us then locked the witch in the observation tower. When I told the Lord I had used a boy as bait to get her to open her door, he gave an exasperated sigh and said, "Involving a third party was not part of the plan. Is there anything at all in that head of yours, dog?" "I can kill him if that's a problem." "Don't be hasty. Describe him for me. Did he seem like he came from a wealthy family?" "He's young, still in his teens. He lives with his little sister. He looked reasonably well off, probably of noble blood." "You picked one hell of a target to use as your bait. Should I kill him?" "There are people in this world you can make disappear quietly. People no one will notice have gone missing. You're one of them. The boy, he most likely isn't." "Was the boy at all interested in the witch's blood?" "He seemed to be." "Well, that makes things a little easier. We just have to make him into an accomplice then." That's everything up to about 6 months ago. You know what happened next, I presume. I threatened Mel, forced him to join us. He needed the blood for his sister, but even without that excuse, he didn't have the courage to run. Me, on the other hand, I involved myself of my own will. I had no reason to try to get back out. In fact, being put in charge of one of the 3 keys, gave me an excuse to meet up with her more often. The arrangement was quite beneficial for me.
Hey, I heard the news. You were selected to be part of the Lord's personal guard? Now you've got it made. Congratulations.
You exaggerate, it's nothing.
Oh, now, no need to be humble. He wouldn't have picked you if he didn't really trust you. Everyone around here knows just how hard it is to earn the Lord's trust.
If you say so.
It hasn't been easy for him, I hear. He only assigns those he really trusts to work so close to him.
I hope you're right.
He trusts you, I'm sure of it.
I certainly can't tell her the real reason I suddenly became his guard.
And I've got some more exciting news too. The Lord sent a messenger for me earlier. Apparently, he's building a new church and he wants me to serve as a nun there. Can you believe it?
You shouldn't be surprised. You are the city's saintess, after all. It's little wonder you would be his first choice.
I really don't think I'm that important.
Do you not want the position?
No, I'm delighted to have such an incredible opportunity. This will allow me to help so many more people than before. It's it's wonderful news.
That's good to hear. Tell me, I'm not wrong in thinking helping people is the one thing you want more than anything else, am I?
Right. That's what I want more than anything in the world.
I see. Hey, smile for me, would you?
Huh? I've been smiling this whole time, haven't I?
Not just now. Forever.
Of course. When I'm with you, nothing could possibly take the smile off my face.
I'm glad to hear it. Exactly. You don't earn the Lord's trust easily. You just have to be an absolute bastard to relate to him. I never knew someone could lose so much weight while still eating every day. We might have to increase your portions. If there's anything in particular you want, just tell me.
I hear children's voices.
Hmm?
From outside, I hear children's voices.
Ah, the kids here to see the saintess. It has gotten quite noisy out there of late, yes.
Oh, the saintess?
Your voice has gotten raspy too. Was that my doing? Did I take your voice? That's unfortunate. To me, your voice held far more value than your blood. And I took that away from you.
Yes, you three took everything from me.
So we did. Enough chatter, dog. The Lord's scheme was a success. The witch's blood brought in an influx of donations, which the Lord invested in various businesses in the city. I have no idea if the blood actually has miraculous powers, but there were certainly people claiming to have been healed by it. It wasn't long before people who weren't sick started making use of the supposed cure-all medication, saying it had preventative properties as well. As word of the elixir spread, the Lord's profits grew in kind. One fact was undeniable. The witch's blood stimulated the city's dramatic growth. And that's everything. Appalling, is it not? Morgana, if you hate me for what I did to her, you can take this sword and kill me with it. And you can have my key. I won't put up a fight. You have the right to exact punishment on me. Killing you would accomplish nothing. Exactly, and they all lived happily ever after the end. It is neither my place to forgive nor punish you. As much as it would make me feel better, doing so would serve no meaningful purpose. I would like you to give me a little time, though. I need time to cool down enough that I can talk to you with a clear head. Of course. Well, this is nice and awkward. So you are still willing to speak with me? I gave you my word. I told you I would help figure out what path you should take. You're an honorable man. I will not force your hand if you don't want to do this. You can tell me to leave, and I'll walk right out the door. More than anger or hatred, I'm simply deeply pained. Maybe things would have turned out better if I were as sympathetic a man as you. People are supposed to be able to feel happy or sad for each other. I can't, though, which must make me a beast. When you first met Morgana, you felt a desire to rescue her from the slave traders, did you not? You thought of someone other than yourself. I never saw that desire through, though. My thirst far overpowered anything I may have wanted to do for her, and the next time we met, I sold her to the Lord. As I said before, there is no room for interpretation in the things I have done. Whatever I might have wanted to do at one point, it's all meaningless now. Regardless, anything I do for someone else is ultimately for my own benefit, because it's what I need. No matter how selfish your motivations may ultimately be, please let me believe some part of you does genuinely want to help her. All right. I know I'll sound like a hypocrite for saying this, but sitting back and waiting for her to die is not what I want. When I cut off her arm, I didn't feel any of the thrill or euphoria that I usually do when I take my sword to someone. I can't say whether that means I had a conscience, if but for a moment, or I just wasn't myself at the time. If you can save her, though, please do. I can't do anything. If I try, I'll only make things worse. I cannot do everything on my own either. Give me your word that you will atone to Morgana for your actions. While I doubt making reparations will clear me of my crimes, if that is what you want me to do, this is what I will do. Can I ask you something? What is it? Tell me more about my next life. I want to know what kind of man I am. I want to know every mistake I make, all the little details. I warn you, it's a tale far more barbaric than anything you can imagine. Do you still want to hear it? I do. And I have little doubt that I will believe it. If you're worried I might react the way I did earlier, I'll lay down my sword. You can tie me up too if you want. That won't be necessary. I'm going to trust you. I'll tell you the whole hopelessly tragic truth. Everything I saw, with no embellishments. Please do. And so I told him the tale I witnessed beyond the second door. That he lost his memory in a shipwreck. That he was treated like a beast by the people in the land where he washed up. That he massacred countless people. And that he took the life of his lover who had come in search of him, never wavering in her belief that he was still alive. I told him about the white-haired girl. I told him about the things he made Giselle do. I didn't hide anything. As I spoke, he would occasionally grimace, or his eyes would go wide for a moment, but not once did he interrupt me. He sat there in silence until I finished. You weren't kidding. That was far worse than I had imagined. It is the truth, though. You become the target of Morgana's loathing, and you are led back to this mansion. That is what lies in your future. As difficult as it may be to comprehend, that person is you. The man who does all those things hundreds of years from now is you. I really am a beast.
a horrendously precarious creature. As I interpret it, when you lost your memory, you also lost everything you used to suppress your nature. You lost the foundation you had built, and as a result, you were no longer able to maintain that balance. Would that mean that what I am now is, comparatively speaking, human? No, I'm no different now. I have no more control over myself when I'm killing people than the man you described. You've seen me do reprehensible things, and in spite of that, you were never condescending or insulting, never acted disgusted or afraid of me. Are all angels as compassionate as you? I am not an angel. I was simply biting my tongue. Are you afraid of me then? My dude, you broke all the fingers on our hand and almost ripped off our arm. If we're not afraid of you, I don't know what we are. There we go. Okay, but did you have to include the parts with Pauline talking to that Javi kid? Yes, they're the best parts, just hearing her get roasted. I am not afraid of you, no. What are you then? I don't understand. I am of the belief that now is not the appropriate time for me to allow my personal feelings to influence my actions. My task is to save Morgana. If I'm to be honest with you for a moment, I despise the man you are in the future. But I'm also equally frustrated at myself. You're right, the things you did were inexcusable. You murdered innocents. You killed the woman who came searching for you. But on a personal level, what angers me the most is that you put blood on the hands of the woman I love. I know very well that to you, it's something you haven't done yet. But it was still your soul. It tears me apart inside that I couldn't return in time to stop it. You'd be hard pressed to find anyone who wouldn't be angry to know someone they care about had received that kind of treatment, I suppose. If that's how you feel, though, aren't you interested in taking revenge on me? As I mentioned before, there are times when allowing your emotions to take the reins is the wrong course of action. This is one of those times. Seeking vengeance is the wrong thing for me to do right now. If I can eliminate Morgana's hatred, the three of your souls will be set free as well. So you're going to save me too? Yes, I am. I don't consider myself worthy of redemption, especially not after hearing about the things I will do. Okay, this is kind of a package deal, though, my dude. Like, this isn't a, like I get to pick who I save. I save Morgana, and you guys kind of come along with it. Because if I had a choice, I don't know that I would do it. Or, like save you specifically. We're not doing this for you, if that makes sense. I'm a beast, through and through. A twisted, psychopathic monster. You were conflicted, though. You struggled against the creature that dwelled inside you. It's true that you found perverted joy in violence and murder, but you also felt kindness, which caused a part of you to seek peace. And the same can be said of you in this time as well. If you actually were nothing but a beast, or rather nothing but a man that derived pleasure in killing, maybe then I could have truly reviled you. Then you would be irredeemable, no matter what had turned you into that, no matter how much pain and suffering had driven you to that point. But your instability, your constantly shifting desires, your mental frailty, all appear to me as very human traits. Tell me, how should I live my life from here on? What is it you want most? I. The easiest road for me would be the one I walk now, to continue being a killer. No fighting my desires, no resisting what's inside me. Would that be my salvation? To abandon my humanity entirely? I don't know what I should do, what I'm supposed to do. I'm at a complete loss about everything. I would like to believe that your desire to live in peace is sincere, and that's what I want for you too. It will be the more trying path, yes, because you will have to fight against your nature to stay on it. But we live in the human world, and you also have Pauline who wants the same thing, extending her hand for you, inviting you to join her. So I encourage you to suppress your urges. Your life will not be easy for it, but I implore you to take the rocky road, for your own sake and for hers, even if it means my entire life is found not built on a foundation of lies. Before today, I believed it was wrong not to be true to oneself. But as I listened to you tell your story, I came to realize that maybe there are exceptions. Some things you can and possibly should keep locked inside you where they can't hurt anyone else. However, I also think you have a tendency to try and act too perfect around her, both in this life and the next. You cover up so much of yourself, you could become an entirely different person. You can be your conflicted, imperfect self around her. The man you are right now, lost and trying to find his way. I have little doubt she will accept that man. What you need most is restraint. I see. So tell me, do you think my future can be changed? I don't know for certain, so all I can do is speculate. But as you share the same soul, I expect any changes you make now will be reflected in your future incarnation. I have my work cut out for me then. Pauline, she believed in me. She put her faith in a beast and went out in search of him. I cannot allow myself to be the kind of monster that would murder a woman like her. I have to change. I will change the future. You can do it. When my life here comes to an end, I vow to make my next one better. Thank you for listening to me and for giving me guidance. I can't say I'm particularly suited for the job. Knowing that my words are going to influence the direction of another's life is an unimaginable amount of pressure. I don't know, I'd say you pull it off well enough. If you ever decide to quit being an angel, you'd make a damned convincing missionary. I have no interest in being a missionary, and as I've told you, I'm not an angel. That's too bad. I'd join the Church of Michael. Don't look at me like that, I'm just kidding. Now, can I get angry at you? As I've been telling you, I'm an ordinary man. I'm not special in any way, like you seem to think I am. You're not ordinary. You're different, but not in the same way I am. I'm I wouldn't ask any normal man to show me how to lead my life. I I see. Although what passes for normal differs from person to person, I suppose. Just as I don't think you're normal, I'm sure there's people out there who do. Perhaps. Or maybe they're just able to see my desire to be normal. Well, that's everything I have to tell you. You're going to want to talk to the Lord next, I assume. That's right. I'm going to convince him to hand over his key, and then I'm going to set Morgana free. I doubt you'll have much luck convincing him of anything, but I'll help in any way I can. I appreciate it. I'll get him to come to supper tonight. You be there too. Okay, I'll be there. If I could ask you one favor, though, could you try to arrange that for as late as possible? That should be doable. But why? There's someone else I need to speak with first. All right, I'll do what I can. Thank you. His relationship with religion is very odd. I do like it. Like, he's in this ultra religious environment.
right? He's stuck around with Pauline. He does all this stuff for the church. Um, he's currently asking Michael as an angel to lead his life, but he's doesn't necessarily seem to be driven on that path. It's very interesting, especially compared to some of the other characters we've got here.
See you this evening then. Did I lead him to the correct path? Will he actually find redemption at the end of it? No, I made the right decision. Even if he doesn't in this life, there's enough of a chance that he will in his next. One left, and that's it. I'm almost there, Giselle. I've almost made it to Morgana. I've come this far. All that's left is to speak with the Lord.
Yeah, and we only have until noon tomorrow, so we are running down the clock here.
Stay focused, Michael. The pieces I still don't fit together yet. As Morgana told it, the Lord was a cruel man from the moment she first saw him, and he wasn't much different in the swordsman's telling of events either. Are those portrayals the full picture of what kind of man he is? Will adding his perspective do anything but amplify Morgana's hatred? And if he really is the man he's been made out to be, then how do you explain his internal struggles from the third door? Did his core personality change with the times? Everyone else I've met has been fundamentally the same, though. Are you the exception, Jacopo? Morgana found joy in her life during her 3 years at the brothel. She wept about not being given the opportunity to thank them. So maybe Maria's more likely to be able to assuage Morgana's animosity? I'll have to hear what she has to say.
Uh-oh.
Uh, uh, I can barely move my right arm. I can't feel my fingers at all. It burns. I've managed this long, but damned if it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, we probably should have seen a doctor. Yeah, exactly. We can only hope that we led Yukimasa down the correct path. There was no multiple option prompt. So that's the important part. And exactly. I can't wait for Maria's assassination attempt to see how he reacts to seeing her. I'm very curious about where Maria is actually going to fit into all of this. So because the white-haired girl, Abby, was so prominent in the third one. So I wonder if Maria is going to take more of her role where like that's actually the reason that Jacopo or this lord is trying to build up the city. I don't know. There we go. If only we had some saint's blood to heal this.
Why must you hand out miracles for nothing?
Exactly, yeah, especially since Maria is the one who turned Jacopo and Abby against each other in door 3. Like Maria was a actual antagonist in that one. So, which kind of matches her eat the rich, I'm going to murder the lord thing. But I don't know. I'm very curious to see like why she's his tether.
I know that voice. I'm looking up at someone, a woman. She's draped in a black fog, and I can't make out many details. But even through the darkness, I know immediately who she is. She is Mother. My. No, she's not my mother. She is. Why would you even ask such a question, Mother? We're barely holding on as it is, my dear. It's not wrong to expect a little remuneration for our services. No, Mother, it is wrong. Miracles are not to be bartered for. God the Father does not charge for his miracles. So why should we, when I'm only borrowing his power?
This must be young Morgana, is my guess. Listen to me, Morgana. Okay, well, I apparently needed to wait an approximate, 2.4 seconds.
Every time you give someone a blessing, you're hurting yourself. If not for the miracle itself, you still deserve some degree of compensation for the pain. I know you're concerned for me, Mother, and I appreciate it very much, but I'm happy with the way things are. I'm happy to be able to help others with my Heavenly Father's power.
A power you won't have much longer, my dear, if we can't afford to keep ourselves fed.
I'm a saint, aren't I?
Yes, you're my sweet little saint.
God will not forsake his saint. No matter how difficult it may get, he will always provide me a way to continue doing his work. And you're the mother of that saint, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I conceived you untainted by the hands of a man.
Then you must respect his will as well, Mother. It must be our highest priority.
You're right. I was wrong, my dear saint.
Mother, Mother, you agreed with me. You said I was right. So why are you taking money from that man? Mother.
Mother looks over as strange men shove me into a carriage. The look in her eyes sends a chill down my spine. I see her lips moving. She doesn't actually say the words out loud, but I can make out every individual syllable.
Because you're worthless to me.
Welcome, daughter of God. You'll be performing miracles for me now. And if you cooperate, I can guarantee you'll live more than comfortably.
Miracles are not something to be performed for one single person's benefit.
What?
Miracles are not magic or parlor tricks. They are a precious gift granted to me by my Father in heaven. Using his power for personal gratification is a grave sin. I will do no such thing. I entreat you to think long and hard about your actions. Do away with such selfish desires and dedicate yourself to helping the people. The power you have been given was bestowed upon you by the hand of God. It is not your power. He is merely allowing you to make use of it for a short time. Pride is a sin. Please consider how you conduct yourself.
You are an ignorant, insolent child, aren't you? I bought you. You are my property. You have no right to an opinion.
That is not my opinion. That is the way of the world, as God.
Silence! You're not here to talk. You're here to perform miracles for me and my guests.
As I have already told you, I will do no such thing.
What you will or will not do is my decision, not yours.
The Lord says with a sickening laugh,
And then grabs me by the hair and knocks me to the floor. I beg him to stop, but he isn't listening to a word I say. Cheers! A saint's blood and good fortune to all. I stare vaguely out at the crowd, gathered for the Lord's blood feast. Every time he has guests, he throws another party, and every time he slices another part of my arms or legs open. It isn't long before they're an unsightly web of crisscrossing scars. The Lord sometimes has trouble deciding where to cut, but not out of any sense of sympathy for me. He simply thinks drawing blood from an untouched area of my body will make it more effective. The Lord strips me bare. Perhaps I'll use your stomach today, Saint. I should be able to get some nice pure blood from there.
Stop this. Can you not comprehend what you're doing is an affront to the Lord?
I'm free to do what I wish with my property. Saint or not, you are no different than any of my slaves.
The Lord is greatly displeased with your actions.
Then use your miracle powers to deliver divine punishment on me. Go on. You can do that, can't you?
Your soul will be punished. You may not see the effects now, but you will pay for your sins one day.
You're not as threatening as you think you are, buck-naked girl. Don't give me that look, girl. I have no interest in taking that from you. You'd be lucky to find anyone willing to lay with a girl covered in disgusting scars. All I can do is wait and endure day after day of torture and shame, of the Lord searching for new places to stick his knife. My entire body, except for my face, is covered in reddish-black wounds.
Someone, anyone, help me. Get me out of here. Please, someone. O Father who art in heaven, I pray for you to lead me unto deliverance. Father, your trials, they are much too great.
Morgana. That was much clearer than the first time I saw it. Everything she felt, her struggling, her sincerity, her pain, and her voice. It felt almost as though I was the one going through it all. The Lord. I can understand why Morgana would bear such a powerful grudge against him, considering everything he did to her. Why would he do that, though? Is there some reason? Some explanation for his actions? I'm thoroughly exhausted, like I've just spent the last several months having my blood drained again and again. My limbs feel like they have boulders tied to them. Just trying to get to my feet makes me dizzy. So cold. She's probably waiting for me by now. I should get going. I have to do this. Move, damn it. Fighting against my body's attempts to succumb to gravity with every step through sheer force of will, I make my way to the courtyard. All right, and I think we're gonna end here for tonight, rather than get into this thing with Maria. So next stream is Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Trying to remember whether I have any announcements. I don't think so. Hmm. Yeah, exactly. If some blonde prostitute told him stuff that convinced him he could cut open property like that, I can't imagine. Like we know that Maria has a background in this with domestic violence because we heard about the abuse that the priest or the head of the orphanage, whatever he was, did to her. So I can't imagine that she's the reason, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like where is Maria actually fitting into this because right now they seem to be parallel lines. So I don't know. We'll find out. So next stream is Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. That's all I have, I think. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for shifting the day. Hope you enjoyed our little pajama party and be back on Sunday. Remember, we still have the YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And yeah, thank you for ending like that. Hopefully everyone's okay. So yeah, have a good night all. Thanks. Bye.